You probably think you have power. And I don't mean like superhero power. I mean actual civic power.
Right, because most people do. It is a very comforting thought. We are literally raised on it.
Exactly. You think that just because you have the right to vote, the power inherently belongs to the public.
You assume the system listens to you.
We all have this mental image, right? You walk into a booth, you make a choice. And that choice is this straight, unbreakable line between your ballot and the future of your country.
Yeah, well, you are wrong.
Completely, fundamentally wrong. And today, in this deep dive, we are going to show you exactly why.
We are going to take that comforting illusion, that bedrock belief in the magic of the ballot box, and we are going to shatter it.
Because when you actually look at the cold, hard mechanics of how systems operate, you realize something terrifying.
Your vote is often nothing more than legal camouflage.
Just camouflage for a tiny, highly organized elite who are playing a very different game.
Deciding who holds power is not about who votes. It is entirely about who counts the votes.
And we are looking at some wild new research today. It's from a trio of incredibly meticulous researchers: Isaiah Chavez, Leopoldo Ferguson, and James A. Robinson.
They didn't just write like an opinion piece. They acted as cold case detectives for a century-old crime.
Right. They mapped the absolute DNA of global corruption.
What is genuinely fascinating here is how far back this illusion goes. Look at Latin America in the 19th century. Look at Argentina in 1853. Or Mexico in 1857.
Okay, let's unpack that. What specifically happened in those years?
In those years, those countries established universal male suffrage. On paper, they were perfect, shining democracies.
Anyone could vote.
Right. But modern historians do not consider them democracies at all during that century.
Wait, why not? If they had the votes, how is that not a democracy?
Because of rampant, unstoppable, industrialized fraud.
Wow.
The fraud was so overwhelming, it completely canceled out the power of the people. It simply did not matter who was legally allowed to cast a ballot.
Because in the real world, a ballot is just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It has no magical glowing power.
Exactly. It is a slip of paper dropped into a wooden box. And if the people guarding the box have a secret alliance with the politicians on the ballot...
Your vote isn't a weapon of democracy. It's an alibi for their theft.
And if you think your voice matters just because you stood in line and cast a ballot, this deep dive is going to fundamentally rewire how you see the world.
We are going to look at the exact microscopic mechanics of how an entire country is stolen.
To do that, we are traveling to Colombia. The year is 1922.
100 years ago. Which raises the obvious question: how do you prove a massive, coordinated crime when the criminals are the ones who wrote the history books?
You find the one mistake they left behind.
You find the math they were too arrogant to cover up.
Let's set the scene. Colombia, 1922, a presidential election.
And this wasn't just a routine change of management. It felt like an existential battle for the very soul of the nation.
The Conservative Party versus the Liberal Party, the stakes were absolute.
It was a brutal, terrifying fight. The Conservative candidate won. He secured the presidency.
And immediately, before the ink was even dry on the headlines, the Liberals screamed fraud. They claimed the entire election was violently stolen.
But should we just blindly believe defeated politicians who are desperate to save face?
Obviously not. Defeated politicians have every incentive in the world to lie.
Which brings us to the absolute brilliance of this research. They completely ignored the partisan screaming.
They ignored the newspaper editorials and the political memoirs. They dug into the cold, dusty, unforgiving archives.
They went to the raw numbers. And before we go any deeper, let's make something crystal clear for everyone listening.
Yeah.
We are not taking sides here.
Not at all.
We do not care about the historical Liberal Party or the historical Conservative Party.
We are just following the raw data. The ideology does not matter to us.
Left wing, right wing, it makes no difference. The mechanics of power remain identical regardless of the flag they wave.
So the researchers look at the data, they open these 1922 electoral registries, and they uncover a lie.
A lie so massive, it actually eclipses the victory itself.
The official numbers are staggering. According to the National Registry, the Conservative candidate won by a margin of 188,502 votes.
Okay, 188,500 roughly. That is a very solid, decisive victory.
On paper, yes. But the researchers went municipality by municipality, town by town.
And they mathematically proved the exact number of completely fake, fabricated ballots.
Guess how many fake votes they found?
Tell me.
230,007.
Wait, I want the listener to just let that sink in for a second. 230,000 fake votes, but the winning margin was 188,000.
The fraud was literally larger than the victory.
That is insane. The cheating wasn't just padding the stats. The cheating was the victory.
The winner wasn't elected.
He was calculated.
He was a mathematical fiction. The entire democratic exercise was a theatrical illusion.
But wait, hold on. I know exactly what someone listening right now is asking. How can anyone today mathematically prove a century-old crime?
It is the most important question. The paper ballots are gone. The eyewitnesses are dead.
Right. Politicians can burn ballots, but they cannot erase the fundamental laws of demographics. Math does not lie.
To catch these ghosts, the researchers used the extremely restrictive voting laws of 1922 against the very people who broke them.
Explain that. Who was actually legally allowed to vote?
It was a highly gated community. Only adult men who were literate or incredibly wealthy could vote.
Okay, so a wealth barrier or an education barrier.
But the wealth barrier was astronomically high. We are talking state-level money. So practically speaking, only literate men could vote.
Because almost everyone who was wealthy enough to hit the threshold was also educated enough to read.
Yes. So the researchers realized they have their baseline. The absolute maximum legal voting population is essentially just the number of literate adult men.
And fortunately, the government had conducted a national population census in 1918.
A massive, tedious door-to-door count of every single human being in the country. Bureaucrats on mules riding into the Andes to count heads and record literacy.
So they calculated the exact mathematical maximum number of literate adult men in every single town. They mapped the absolute physical ceiling of democracy.
If every single legally eligible voter showed up, this specific number was the absolute physical limit.
And then they compared that census limit to the official vote totals.
And the results are completely terrifying. Out of 755 towns, 50 towns reported final vote counts that were higher than their entire legal voting population.
Higher. Not just 100% turnout. Over 100%.
In some places, it was vastly comically higher.
It is a face-slapping reality. The politicians were so utterly arrogant, they didn't even check the census. They just shoved blank paper into boxes.
By taking the total reported votes and simply subtracting the absolute maximum possible legal voters, they proved a rock-solid minimum of 230,007 fake votes.
The numbers are physically impossible. But here's where the story transitions. Because the fraud wasn't just a blanket operation, right?
No, it was highly strategic. It was surgical.
Let's look at the crazy geography of this election.
Let's examine Santander, a stronghold for the Liberal Party. Out of 55,492 votes cast,
How many were fake?
almost 24,000.
Almost half. An insane proportion of fake paper.
But then look at Antioquia, the conservative heartland. Out of 76,420 votes, less than 11,000 were fake.
Why the extreme difference? If the conservatives won the rigged election nationwide, why cheat less in their own backyard?
What dictates where democracy is murdered and where it survives?
Is it local morality?
No, morality has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Forget everything you learned in history class. The villains you thought were destroying democracy were actually the ones saving it.
Let's talk about the mega-rich, the massive generational landowners.
The conventional wisdom is simple. Where the mega-rich live, elections are the most corrupt.
We see this historical assumption everywhere. People think local elites manipulate votes to crush the poor.
But the Colombian data violently destroys this assumption. The researchers mapped the wealth of the landowners using incredibly detailed 19th century tax records.
A literal map of extreme wealth and land inequality, and they laid it directly over the map of extreme election fraud.
And what happened? Tell me the face-slapping reality.
The data proves conclusively the more unequal the land distribution and the richer the local landlords, the fewer fake votes there were.
Wait, what?
High land inequality perfectly correlated with lower ballot stuffing.
I am genuinely stunned right now. The guys with the monopolies, the mansions, the massive estates, they were the literal defenders of the clean vote.
Yes.
How is that remotely possible? The elites are the villains. Why on earth are they protecting the election?
Because of the price of order. They are not saving democracy out of the goodness of their hearts. They care about one thing: order.
Because stealing an election is messy.
You can't just magically wish 24,000 fake ballots into a box. It takes muscle. It takes thugs.
You have to spark riots. You have to break the law openly.
It is a profoundly messy, chaotic operation, and chaos destroys profits.
Chaos burns down the sugarcane fields. Chaos stops the riverboats.
Exactly. The ultra-rich landlords are terrified of chaos. It hurts their wallets in a very real, immediate way.
So the rich don't want to riot. And a stolen election guarantees a riot.
In a country with a weak central government, the local wealthy elites used their immense economic power to choke out the rogue, cheating politicians.
They acted as a stabilizing force purely out of self-interest. They told the local mayors, do not rig this election. Do not start a fire in our town.
Order is money. The elites were not the engine of the fraud, they were the brakes.
Okay, my mind is a little blown. If the rich landlords actually hated the fraud, did the government do it?
Wrong again.
Another face-slapping moment. People always assume the army and the police are the ultimate tools for election rigging.
But the data utterly shatters that myth. The researchers mapped exactly how many government bureaucrats, clerks, and soldiers were in every single municipality.
The physical presence of the state.
And they found that wherever there were more government bureaucrats or soldiers, the rate of fake votes fell off an absolute cliff.
The more cops, the fewer fake votes.
The math is brutal and precise. State strength kills fraud.
So the state wasn't committing the fraud. The absence of the state allowed the fraud.
A strong statement, severe penalties, and high costs for cheating politicians. The risk of jail outweighs the reward of cheating.
Where the state vanished, the monsters came out to play.
The vacuum of power breeds the fake vote.
Okay, let's trace the logic here. We have a massive contradiction.
What?
230,000 fake votes. But the rich landlords hated the fraud, and the government fought the fraud. So who the hell faked the 230,000 votes?
The researchers found the toxic core. They created a metric called overlap.
Overlap.
They measured the exact percentage of instances where the local rich guy, the lord of the manor, and the local politician were the exact same human being.
The fusion of extreme private wealth and public political power into one single body.
When that fusion happens, the rules of the game fundamentally mutate.
Why? Wouldn't their crops still burn in a riot?
Normally, yes.
Yeah.
But when the rich man puts on the mayor's hat, he no longer fears the chaos of a rigged election.
Because he's getting paid by the state.
Exactly. The massive corrupt kickbacks he is going to get from the national government for stealing the election will more than pay for any local damage to his crops.
It's like hiring an arsonist to be the fire chief. You start lighting matches in your own living room because the bonus check is so huge.
That is the perfect analogy. Adding a politician's hat to a rich man's head acted like pouring gasoline on a fire.
This isn't random cheating. This is a highly precise economic machine.
National politicians need local votes to become president, but they don't have the ground game in the remote mountains, so they outsource.
They promise local political bosses massive payouts of taxpayer money. Give me the fake paper, and I will give you the real gold.
The data is absolute. In areas with high overlap where the elite and politicians are one, the number of fake votes skyrocketed.
The deep incestuous marriage of capital and political power destroyed the absolute baseline of democracy.
You think politicians rig elections because of their ego? No. It is entirely about cold, hard cash.
The real interest stimulus. Give me a historical example. Who was cashing in on this?
Look at a local boss named Alfredo Vázquez Cobo. He built a massive machine of fake votes for the conservative presidential candidate.
He delivered the paper. What did he get in return?
The very first massive foreign loan the new president signed, $5 million, went straight to Vázquez Cobo's personal pet project, the Pacific Railroad.
Wow. The fake votes literally bought a $5 million railroad.
But there's an even crazier story. A rural political boss, an old farmer who couldn't speak a word of English and knew literally nothing about finance.
Oh, the Treasury Minister story. I love this.
He was suddenly appointed as the National Minister of Treasury, the man in charge of the entire national economy.
And he didn't know anything about economics.
There is a political cartoon from 1922 showing an American financial expert trying to teach this Colombian Treasury Minister primary school English, pencil, book, ruler.
The man managing the nation's wealth is learning the word pencil. Why? Because competence didn't matter. Only the fake vote mattered.
Loyalty over competence. Always.
But let's pause here. The elites are building railroads. Old farmers are getting cabinet positions. But who is paying the bill for this grand illusion?
The poorest people in the country. They foot the bill for the fake votes.
Politicians only have two ways to win an election.
Option 1. Do your job. Build things. Provide public services so people actually like you.
Option 2. Just fake the votes.
And the fatal trade-off is this. The moment faking votes becomes cheap and easy, politicians completely stop spending money on you.
Why build a hospital to win 5,000 real votes when you can bribe a clerk for 10,000 fake ones?
Exactly.
Right.
The researchers proved this with deadly precision. They looked at the vaccination rates for ordinary people around the time of the 1918 flu pandemic.
What did they find?
In towns overrun by fake votes, the vaccination rates plummeted by more than 10%.
Wow, 10%. Your stolen vote literally costs lives.
It means less medicine. It means no clean water.
This is the inescapable vortex of poverty. We always ask why resource-rich nations remain trapped in crushing poverty.
This is the answer. Because the voter's true will means absolutely nothing.
By monopolizing the vote-counting system, the elites violently cut the cord between your vote and your welfare.
As long as they can stuff a ballot box, the ruling class will never, ever need to pave your roads or build your hospitals.
They will never care if you live or die. The fake vote unplugs the citizen from the government machine.
It is the operating code of the modern world.
You think this is just a story about Colombia in 1922? No. This is a global blueprint.
Whenever a state's regulatory power rots away, and whenever extreme wealth fully merges with political office, the exact same system activates.
From 19th century Latin America to the stagnant economies of today, it is a perfect, unbreakable circle. Top-down money flowing to the elites, bottom-up fake power flowing to the leaders.
Every time you feel economic anxiety or wonder why your town is falling apart, you are feeling the teeth of this exact machine feeding on you.
100 years ago, political thugs stole a nation by shoving paper into wooden boxes in remote farm towns. But what about today?
Today, the core of their power is still the monopoly on information. But they don't need thugs. They don't need physical paper.
They have artificial intelligence, they have algorithms.
They have absolute dominance over the internet's data streams.
The modern elites don't need to forge a ballot. They forge your reality.
They shape the news you see. They carefully control the information you consume.
They algorithmically manufacture your anxiety and your anger. They serve you the perfectly tailored outrage you need to vote exactly how they want you to vote.
They don't need to steal the vote after it is cast. They engineer you before you even walk into the booth.
In the age of algorithmic dominance, is the world right now just repeating the history of 1922? Are your beliefs actually yours?
Or have they already been counted for you?
Keep diving deep and question everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially your own certainties.